Tom Paris, Robert Duncan McNeill, from Star Trek, Voyager shares one embarrassing fact with James T. Kirk, William Shatner, from Star Trek, the original series. Paris was the USS Voyager's pilot and medic, and a main member of Voyager's cast of characters for all 7 seasons of the show. By contrast, Captain Kirk was the captain of the USS Enterprise, the main character of TOS and the TOS film series, and arguably the most recognizable man in the entire Star Trek franchise. Although Paris and Kirk were from very different periods on the Star Trek timeline, the two ended up having a few important things in common. Both were the resident bad boys of their respective shows, with hot-headed personalities and a tendency to break the rules. Along with this, both Paris and Kirk were notorious ladies' men, famous for the reputation of having many romantic partners during their respective series. However, there is a more interesting way Paris and Kirk resemble each other. Star Trek, Voyager demoted Tom Paris, just like Admiral Kirk in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Paris and Kirk were the franchise's only main character demotions for a long time. The Star Trek, Voyager Season 5 episode 30 Days saw Tom Paris be demoted to the rank of ensign and thrown in the brig after violating the Prime Directive. This was a surprising move given that Star Trek didn't often show its main characters receiving such harsh punishments. In fact, the only other main character in a Star Trek series to get demoted before Tom was the then Admiral Kirk, who was reduced back to the rank of captain after his actions in the film Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. It's important to note that there were significant differences between Kirk's and Paris's demotions. Kirk being made captain again was less of a punishment than a reward, since it came after he and the Enterprise crew had saved Earth from a significant threat. In contrast, Tom being made an ensign was truly a punishment from Captain Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, and the accompanying 30 days in the brig drove this home. However, Tom's demotion was significant at the time because it was the first for a main character since Kirk was remade captain. Other Star Trek main characters have been demoted. Modern Star Trek has seen more demotions. Since Voyager ended, however, the modern Star Trek franchise has shown other main character demotions. The most obvious of these was Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, being completely stripped of all rank after her mutiny in Star Trek, Discovery Season 1. Although Michael eventually worked her way back up to captain of the USS Discovery, her initial punishment was perhaps the harshest demotion any Star Trek character has received, fitting the shocking crime of mutiny and her involvement in starting the Federation-Klingon War. The other main character in a modern series to be demoted was Beckett Mariner, Tawny Newsome, from Star Trek, Lower Decks. Before Lower Decks Season 1, Mariner had already been demoted to ensign for her contentious relationship with authority. However, in the Season 1 episode Moist Vessel, Captain Carol Freeman, Dawn Lewis, decided to punish her daughter by promoting Mariner to the rank of full lieutenant and then redemoting her after Mariner insulted a visiting admiral. Thanks to Discovery and Lower Decks, Star Trek, Voyager's Tom Paris is now in better company in the ranks of the franchise's demoted characters. In the vast expanse of space, aboard the USS Voyager, Captain Janeway and her crew faced a multitude of challenges while stranded in the Delta Quadrant. Among them was Tom Paris, a skilled pilot with a reputation for charm, wit, and a penchant. His reputation was built on numerous affairs with alien women, often showcasing a cavalier attitude towards relationships. The once unfathomable ideals of the 23rd century, where love was often a mere distraction, were exemplified by Kirk's numerous flings, leading many to see him as a cad. Similarly, Tom Paris emerged as the quintessential rogue of Voyager. Initially introduced as a former Starfleet officer with a dubious past, Tom's charm and roguish good looks drew the attention of both crew members and viewers alike. His flirtations with various characters, particularly with B'Elanna Torres, showcased his romantic inclinations. Yet, like Kirk, Tom often found himself entangled in relationships that were as complex as they were brief, leading to awkward situations and misunderstandings. The first encounter, Paris meets the Delta Quadrant. Tom's first major romantic escapade came during his interactions with the Delta Quadrant's unique species. In the episode Caretaker, he finds himself in a dangerous situation after his reckless pursuit of adventure and recognition leads him to a hot and cold relationship with the rest of the crew. His tendency to charm, akin to Kirk's, often left him in embarrassing predicaments. For instance, his early flirtation with B'Elanna saw him repeatedly misreading the signals, leading to humorous and cringeworthy moments. The commonality between Kirk and Paris can be traced back to their bravado and romantic endeavors. Both captains exuded a self-assuredness that often bordered on arrogance. In one particular instance, Tom attempted to woo a member of a hostile alien race, a move that not only jeopardized his safety but also endangered his crew. Much like Kirk's infamous charm offensive against the Klingon or Gorn, Paris's romantic misadventures often led to unexpected complications. The grand scheme, getting the girl. One of the most telling similarities between Tom and Kirk is their inclination to concoct elaborate plans to win over their romantic interests. In Day of Honor, Tom devises a scheme to impress B'Elanna by creating a romantic dinner in the holodeck. His intentions were noble, but the execution fell flat, resulting in a series of mishaps that could only be compared to Kirk's notorious romantic escapades that often went awry. Both men often used their positions to gain advantages in their pursuit of love, showcasing a blend of creativity and impulsiveness. Kirk's love tactics, often involving high-stakes scenarios that blurred the lines of ethics and morality, echoed through Paris's attempts to win over B'Elanna. Whether it was Kirk's iconic battle with the Gorn or Paris's playful yet misguided gestures, the outcomes often left them embarrassed and reflecting on their choices. A broader perspective, leadership and relationships. While the focus has primarily been on their romantic exploits, the underlying similarities extend beyond mere flirtation. Both characters grappled with their responsibilities as leaders while navigating their personal lives. Kirk's passion often led him to prioritize his romantic interests over protocol, occasionally putting the Enterprise in jeopardy. Similarly, Paris's entanglements sometimes clouded his judgment, leading to conflicts within the crew. Tom's emotional journey throughout Star Trek, Voyager mirrored Kirk's in many ways. In the episode 30 Days, Tom faces a moral dilemma when he defies orders to save a planet. The emotional stakes intertwine with his desire to prove himself, much like Kirk's own motivations in previous Star Trek tales. Both captains found themselves making questionable choices in pursuit of what they deemed right.